interesting, Tom. Two things. You mentioned Insulate a couple of times, so I guess you think that the protesters, who my colleague Mark White was focused on at the top of the show, whatever you think of their methods, their message is actually correct. We should be insulating buildings. That's the first point I want you to respond to. The second point is you quibbled with me saying that renewables are subsidised. Yes, I agree with you. Well, I don't agree with you. It's just a fact, isn't it, that renewable prices are now competitive. But surely if you want to increase the capacity of renewables, you're going to need to put more subsidy in, because it's about building the capacity. That's the bit that generally has been subsidised in the past, rather than actually running those renewable sources.
Let me come to your second point, and I'll come back on Insulate UK. What the value, and it's a normal part of sensible economic policy, you have a lot of public investment in things that the private sector will then do better. And that's exactly what's happened on renewables. Early on in the process of making the change, there was a lot of public sector investment. Now you're finding that not just in this country, but all over the world, renewables are bidding into electricity markets under the price even of existing coal in places like India. So it's not a question of needing more subsidies. What you do need to do, which is very important, is you need to get the right design of your electricity system and the right regulation of that market. And we haven't got that right. And that's led to some of the reasons there's been underinvestment from the private sector in what are the marvelous opportunities of going forward on renewables. But if I come back to your point on Insulate UK, they have the right point, as you said. I'm not sure I understand what's achieved by going on, making the same point over and over and over again. And I interpret the sort of commitment of those individuals being much more driven by their anxiety about the way in which climate change is going to change all of our lives and actually cause an awful lot more disruption than the protesters are changing, and the fact that governments everywhere, not just here, aren't moving fast enough to get the problem down. So I quite understand everybody's frustration with what they're doing. I'm not sure that on its own it will bring about change very rapidly, but we really do need to take the point, and government in particular needs to take the point very, very much more urgently than it's currently doing so.